Understand where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you give to me. Loosening my grip as pulled you into me. When I let you go, it just pulled you closer. It's a long departure. It's a long departure. Before I see you again, before it all makes sense, but I can't hold you back. And I still don't understand where it came from, but you're back in with the passion. I'm awake with the flame in a hailstorm. I'm back in, I gotta have it. Everything to do with what you give to me. Loosening my grip has pulled you into me. When I let you go, it just pulled you closer. It's a long departure. It's a long departure.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Simulation Racing Leagues TCR Series and welcome to round 5 of the Season 2 Championship, and we are here back where we ended it all in Season 1, back at the Nurburgring GP circuit. Alongside me, as is what is pretty much always now, is Jack Johns, and Jack, the championship is as close as it's ever really been. Now we've got to take the drop scores into account. We could be on for one hell of a night.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people in the midfield all racing for positions and trying to work their way up. I mean, there's, like you said earlier, between 8th and 11th, I think, is about 3, 4, 5 points. So it's not much at all with these races. I'll let you go through that later. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting race. This is a difficult circuit to master. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to come out on top this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think interesting is definitely the word, as the session just ticks over on to the qualifying session now. So we will end up with a few of the drivers heading out on circuit to try and get those laps completed. 3 timed laps they get, or 10 minutes, whichever comes first. And let's see who we've got leaving the pit lane first. By the looks of that, Dean Catherwood has already taken to the circuit. Only, 18 seconds into the session, and he is out and getting that car up to temperature. And we found qualifying is rather important for this championship because the races are just so close. You've got to spend so much time finding that one-lap pace so you can get away in qualifying and then get to the front. But then also you've got to work on your race pace. So it's a busy old job behind the wheel of these TCRs.
That's right. Slipstream will come into effect a little bit round here as well. I mean, there's a lot of tight and twisty corners, but there are some really fast flowing sectors that will just bring those people back. If anyone's struggling in those tight corners, then the Slipstream will just let those people stay within reach, and it's not all over if they mess up the hairpin, for example. As we see Dean throwing it around the circuit very early on in his outlap. Just looking at the times from practice, it was Callum Reid-Garton who caught my eye. He's up there in second place. I'm still waiting, Jack, since I've been here to see him have a good result, as he does find himself keep getting caught up in incidents. But there's another one out there, Ricardo Neto. I'm waiting to have a cracking result. He's down. He was down in P8 in practice, I believe. So those two are the ones I'm going to be watching for today. But really, we need someone to take it to Dan Mould, who's just been rapid all season.
He has indeed, and we do have two new names out on the circuit this evening. We've got this man here, Stuart Gibbons, another privateer entry to the series. We've also got John Scrabo for Tanso Racing. You can see there another fancy looking livery out and taking to the circuit. And yeah, you mentioned CRG. He hasn't really had that many great results this season, and last season he was a championship hopeful as well, and it just all started to fall apart. I think he had some sort of external issues which sadly could not have been helped, so he disappeared to take care of those. And of course he does have this team change. He is with Igneo Motorsport now, so he's with Dan Mould and Andrew Lovesey and all of those heavy hitters all at the top end of the order, so he will have some team assistance as well in his championship charge. Speaking of championships though, Jack, let's have a look through the championship standings.
Yeah, let's see what's happening. And there he is, look, Dan Mould at the top of the point scorer. I mean, he did a 209.1 in practice, Jack, and I jumped in practice with these guys on Wednesday, threw it around a bit and sweated so hard to get a 2-minute 10.1. And I'm in the mid-pack with these boys, and they are absolutely flying. We got Mark Draper there in second, 183 points. Ricardo Neto, 170. So he's in the top three, Ricardo. If he can just clean up those races, then he will be in championship contention for sure. Fraser Geraghty, 134 points, and Neil Stevenson just 3 points behind him for P4. Currently in P5, Neil Stevenson with 131 points.
Yeah, so you can see there, they're just getting closer and closer together throughout the season. And of course, this is with the drop score. So this is, if the championship were to end here, this is how they would stand. And you can see there, Carl Leekman, Scott Tuffy, and Al Brown, 116, 114, 115, and just 3 points back is then Ashley Gafale on 111. And Craig Walters, he's only 11 points back, and Scott Malcolm, he's only 8 back from there. It's just so close. We've got Anthony Gaskin and Dean Catherwood tied for 16th on 83 points. So we've got some great little battles going on up and down the order, and I will look forward to seeing how they play out.
Yeah, that's right. There was two at the top there as well, Ben Denyer and someone else on 125 points each. Tom Stanley it was, Ben Denyer and Tom Stanley. So like you say, really close battles and all to play for. One crash and then let's use Ben and Tom as an example. If Ben has a cracking result and Tom DNFs, massive gap all of a sudden from being even on points.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just then leaving that driver you were battling with. You will end up being dropped down the order because everybody seems to be rather consistent at this point in the championship. So one mistake, like you say, it won't just drop you back from the position you were. It will drop you pretty much around back from all of the other drivers. So you've got to almost play the long game and think, right, I can go for this move. I can drive the car on its absolute limit. But if I do that, if it goes wrong, it's going to go wrong in a big way. So you've almost got to take a back seat in this championship and just hope that the races come to you. Like you say, Ricardo Neto, he seems to be the one that's doing that. We don't tend to see him up and fighting for the lead. We have seen him on a couple of occasions doing so, but he just lets everybody get on with their races, go through and pick up the pieces, and he's really good at getting those comeback drives in. We're starting to see the first of the times being posted. Lee Dye takes provisional pole position on a 120.746. Fraser Geraghty, 300ths back on a 210, sorry, 0.780.
Yeah, 120. That was
120
with rapid lap time.
Blisteringly quick. That's almost Formula One pace.
Yeah. Must have cut the chicane for a 120. Scott Tuffy, he's straight into 209s, 0.4s. So that's a decent lap time for Scott's first attempt. As you can see, everybody else just over a second back.
Yeah, great stuff from Scott. It's nice to see him back out in the championship, and Scott's just been absolutely flooded with bad luck. He works his way up through the order, maybe a slight mistake, and it all seems to fall apart. Let's hope that he can carry this momentum through from qualifying into the race. We've got Mark Draper currently sat in provisional P2 on a 209.985, and at the moment the top two are the only two drivers in the 209s, and then we go back to Derek Pocock, almost half a second behind Mark Draper at this point, so there seems to be this monumental gap between the top two, and then everybody starts to bunch up. But we need to keep an eye on Dan Mould, who I think his first lap was invalidated, so he won't be able to set a lap, or he won't have set a lap time on the lap prior. Let's see what he can do this time. What do you expect from Dan Mould this evening?
I mean, it's got to be. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders, but we know it doesn't affect him too much. I mean, he's got to be aiming for pole, and he's going to be aiming for wins. He always will be. And not to take away from the others as well, but Pocock must have had a mistake there, because I know he is capable of being in that top spot. He can definitely do 209s in this car. And going back to what you were saying about being patient in the racecraft and all that sort of stuff, this is the circuit that's really going to show the people that don't obey that law of patience, really, because there's just one, you just push slightly too hard, an extra couple of mil on the braking zone, and you're going to either slide wide because you carry too much speed because of the camber of the circuit, or you're going to go straight into the back of someone, and then that's where incidents happens. And like you say, the midfield of that points order is just going to be reshuffled completely after this round.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to, just seeing where the drivers slowly start to creep their way up through the order. Now the times are starting to roll in. Neil Stevenson puts it in provisional P2 at 209.787. We also had Wilson go even higher. There we go. Callum Reid Garton right up to the top of the times, a 209.213, a quarter of a second clear of Scott Tuffy. And where is Dan Mould? Because he was on a flying lap. He's just working his way towards the final corner now. Past pit entry we go. Onto the brakes and sling it in towards the apex. Don't want to get over that curve, because you do have that pit entry wall staring you in the face, and collecting that would definitely hurt. Draper does improve upon his time, a 209.748. Dan Mould only good enough for provisional P3, a 209.533. Quite a surprise, and that is what, a quarter of a second clear of CRG. So Callum Reid Garton, he's really stood himself in good stead for this race. And as, of course, the track slowly starts to develop and the car gets up to temperature, you might find a bit of pace, but a quarter of a second, if Dan Mould hasn't found that on the first try, it's unlikely, I think, that he'll find it on the second.
That's a really good lap time from Reid Garton there. And as you say, then maybe this is the weak spot of Dan Mould that people need to take advantage of. He's clearly pushing. Like you said, he 1x'd his first attempt. It looked fairly cautious from him on that second lap. We know he's capable of going faster, but if he can't get in time, I mean, there's 2 minutes left. It looks like he might have backed off this lap. Yeah. He doesn't appear to be going very fast there. So this could be the order. And Scott Tuffy, what a show as well in P2.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great time from himself. He is still out and circulating. So is CRG. Set a purple Sector 1, personal best Sector 2. Didn't improve upon his Sector 3 time. We are currently going through what would be Sector 4. So we'll see whether he can improve yet further upon his provisional pole time. Who else have we got out and circulating? We do have David Smith for SRL in one of the slightly shinier liveries of SRL, currently down in 21st place for 213.741, so definite time for improvement. But David Smith is just one of those drivers that we see work his way up through the order. At the unfortunate events of others, he just works his way through and gets himself those strong results. So I look forward to seeing what David Smith can do this evening.
Yeah, indeed. Derek Pocock goes up to 6th with a 209.999. I will take that as proof that I said he can get into 209s. And Reid Garton, as you were saying, he'd done a few purple sectors. He's improved. He's gone into the 0.1s. Very quick.
So quick, a 209.191, incredibly quick from himself. And a Scott Tuffy-esque SRL livery is what is adorning Mark Draper's SRL machine this evening. Into the pit lane he goes. We've got Ricardo Neto still out on a lap for 27 Motorsport. Through the final corner we go, charging towards the timing beam. It is at the start of the straight, so that is where the results will be taken from. We've just crossed the line now, I think, a little further back. Yep, and he does improve upon his time, a 210.390. 39er, there you go, that's the air traffic control coming through. And then a 210.812 posted for Anthony Gaskin, so he improves upon his time back all the way to John Brown, who won't complete his lap. And there you go, that's qualifying over as quick as a flash. And we've still got two 20-minute heat races on the way.
Yeah, indeed. What a result. So this is it. I said to keep an eye out for him. We were waiting for a good result. Can Callum Reed-Garton turn this in to a win? Let's see what he can do. So we've got Callum Reed-Garton on pole with a 209.1, just 2 temps back, or nearly 3. Scott Tuffy in second. Dan Mould, current championship leader, down in third. Mark Draper fourth. Neil Stevenson and Derek Pocock round off the third row. Lee Dye and Andrew Lovesley on the fourth row. Ricardo Neto and Mike Wilson rounding off the top 10. Over to you, Jack.
And it's Dean Catherwood in 11th, Fraser Garrity in 12th, Anthony Gaskin 13th, Scott Malcolm 14th, Derek Crowther in 15th, Al Brown 16th, Carl Lukeman in 17th, John Brown in 18th, and it's Craig Walters and Stuart Gibbons on row 10 of the grid. David Smith has Tom Stanley for company on row 11, and John Scrabbo joins the league and starts at the tail end of the order, but that by no means he's going to be slow in the race. He has gridded up, so he has got an absolute mammoth of a challenge to work his way through a field of Audi RS3s, but I'm sure he will be broken into the championship, possibly not as gently as he'll hope. We know these guys get their elbows out, and they are touring cars, so they can take a bit of a beating. So if John wants to get through, he's going to have to lose maybe a couple of panels on the way.
Yeah, a wing mirror or two, I'm sure. As the lights are coming on and we're getting ready for the start of this race. Who is going to come out on top? Callum Reed-Garton, your pole sitter, got Tuffy in second. Obviously, we've got the formation lap to go. So it's going to be 2 by 2 all the way around. I'm excited for this one. See who comes out on top.
I am indeed. I was slightly surprised there because normally, of course, it is a standing start, but we have a rolling start here this evening with a half warm-up lap. Somebody blinking a little bit in and out in the background. Let's hope that improves as the race go on. So, yeah, a rolling start, something we haven't really seen. We know a few of the drivers struggle getting the car off the line with the wheel spin, etc. But with a rolling start, that definitely minimises that risk. CRG, like you say, on pole position. The safety car peels off, so now it's down to Callum to decide when he wants to go. He's got some slight smoke effect emanating from the rear of that car, and we'll just wait to hear the revs rise. The lights will be on in just a few seconds' time, and it's all down to when CRG wants to put his foot to the floor. Everybody bunching up in the background in desperation, trying to get going. And I think he's just going to wait for that green flag. CRG almost at the line now, and we're still going. There we go. Now everybody is unleashed. Quite a long way for himself. Dan Mould is already up into second place, 3 wide in towards turn 1, possibly 4 wide if Neil Stevenson has got anything to do with it. So 4, 5 wide in the background, and who's that? That's Dan Mould going off, I think. And oh my God, look at that in the background.
All over the oh my, that's Carl Lukeman round. That's Dan Mould. He came together with Scott Tuffy. He was a bit cheeky at the start there by slotting in between. I wonder if that was team games. They're probably in a Discord together. But look at him down in 20th place. This is blowing the championship right open now. Callum Reed-Garton's still in the lead. Sorry. Stevenson up into second, and Neto in P3 as there's more crashes amongst the field. That's Scott Tuffy round. The one that took out Dan Mould, and now he's round as well. Oh dear, oh dear. I say took out. I will have to have another look at it at some point. It could have been a complete racing incident. But big carnage at the start of this race. 1 minute in, and look, Callum Reed-Garton's by himself. He's got a 2-second lead. This is exactly what he wanted. Ignia Motorsport, Callum Reed-Garton leading the way. Stevenson's had a cracking start. He's up 3 places, but Ricardo Neto in P3, he's gained 6 positions from all of that. Tom Stanley up 10 into P12.
That was absolutely crazy, and normally you'd have thought there'd be a bit more action from a standing start, but no, you leave everybody in a rolling start. There's yet more contact in the background. We do have a car off, and look at that. It's an absolute pack of cars. I'm trying to figure out who it's led by at the moment. I think possibly Derek Crowther. Yes, Derek Crowther, then Stuart Gibbons, Mike Wilson, Dan Mould trying to work his way up through the order. Last time we looked at him, he was in 20th place. He's not hanging around. He's already back up into 14th. There is Al Brown for Simulation Racing Leagues, and then we drop back to Scrabbo under pressure from John Brown with a missing front bumper, a wing mirror hanging off, and a distinct lack of a wing mirror on the right-hand side as well. So quite a hefty bit of damage on that car. But yeah, like you say, Callum Reed-Garton, 2.1, 2.2 seconds clear. 2.3, he's just extended that lead margin by about half a second only on the brakes. There is Neil Stevenson giving chase. Ricardo Neto, like you say, in third place, trying to retain his good results. Then it's Mark Draper exactly where he started in 4th place. Lee Dye up 2, Andy Lovesley up 2. Dean Catherwood up 4, Craig Walters up 9 places from where he started, so the race has definitely come to him this time through. But I do want to have another look back just to see where it all went wrong. I think this might be just before we went green. No, it isn't. Let's see what happened. We'll slow it down for you. Talk us through what you see, Jack.
Okay, so Dan Mole and Scott Tuffy is the one to watch. You can see Scott in the braking zone, and it's just that small touch on the rear. No one's at fault there, really. That's just spatial awareness and the angle of the track, and there's more chaos going on. There's an Audi going round. Who's that? Is that John Brown? He's spun. He's broke on the grass, takes Carl Lukeman with him, but there's already cars going around there. Number 17. Who's number 17? That's Mike Wilson, who's had contact there as well with a free wide moment. But John Brown, we get to see the new damage model update there with the mirrors are now tethered so they don't fly off. But he's going to have them dangling around for the whole race from now. And Dan Mould rejoins in 20th, as we saw. Now, there was another crash on the next corner there, Scott, with Jack, with Scott Tuffy. But yeah, complete chaos. And it looks like Mike Wilson, Derek Pocock, Scott Malcolm, Carl Lukeman, and Tom Stanley in the pits and out. So there goes round Dan Mould. You can see Mike Wilson in the background. Let's just follow Scott and see what happens. So he's side by side with the number 1 Ignium Motorsport car. That is Andrew Lovesey. Is he going to lose it himself here? Because he's not side by side. Oh, no, he's not involved in anything there. He's going to break into the next corner. Oh, dear. That's the number 9 car of... Who's the number 9 car? That's Derek Pocock. So that's what happened to him, and that's why he's in the pits. So he just sent it up the inside and collected Scott there.
Yeah, Derek Pocock, I think he is destined for retirement, returning to the pit lane with suspension damage. We do still have battles going on, even after all of that. So, like we say, it could have been one of the closest nights in regards to the championship, and everybody has been flipped around, and they're all in maybe unusual spaces in the race, and they've got yet more new drivers that they may not have really encountered. So you've got yet more new battles slowly starting to evolve throughout the race. Anthony Gaskin leading this little trio, Fraser Garrity following along. So 2 privateer drivers leading Craig Walters in the number 69 SRL machine. Then it's Derek Crowther and Al Brown. Al Brown currently in 12th place, so that would stand him in good stead for Heat 2, because that will be reverse grid pole. And then look who's just gained another position in the background, the number 80 machine up into 13th place, and Dan Mould. What a comeback drive he has got on the cards. If he can get into that top 12, he's got a chance of doing all right in Heat 2. But is that going to play on his mind? Is he going to crack under the pressure? Because now with all this pressure that he had, reigning champion and currently leading the championship, and he's had some immense performances throughout the season, he's now got a comeback drive on the go. If he does get on towards the front rows of Heat 2, that's a lot of pressure to keep up with.
Yeah, he's going to enjoy this. We've asked him a few times in the interview room, does he enjoy this sort of challenge? And like you said, a comeback drive is exactly what he wants. But we've got Mark Draper, who's up into P3 now, so he's passed Ricardo Neto somewhere, so he's in the podium spots. But like you say, Mould can see that P12. That's going to be reverse pole for the next race. He's going to enjoy trying to climb his way. I'm sure he won't settle for 12th place. He's not going to do that on purpose. He's going to try and get up as high as he can. As we see Lee Dye here coming under pressure from Lovesey. In the slipstream, coming around this fast right. Lovesey has a quick intimidation look, backs out of it, into the hairpin. They go. Scott Tuffy here. This is a replay of him making contact. Oh, that's the... Oh, dear. Like you said, that's the new boy treatment. Oh. that was a bit of a touch from Scott Tuffy. Sending Scrabbo around, I believe that was, for Tonzo Motorsport.
Yeah.
Not having a great race, Scott, on his comeback. Good position to start with, but he's had an absolute nightmare. Is he gonna park it up, or is he gonna keep going? He's not one to give up, Scott. He's gonna keep going by the looks of it.
Yeah, there he is with, I think that is a fresh car. Yes, he has been into the pit lane, and he has taken advantage of the fast repair that you do get. So he is out and circulating, but currently right the way down in 17th place. 3.7 seconds clear, however, is Callum Reid-Garton. He currently has the fastest lap of the race, a 209.55. I think that still would have got him on the front row of the grid in qualifying, and if he's doing that in the race, he's just got something else. He's found another gear. He's got an extra few horsepower, evidently, because look at that gap, 3 laps in, and he's just absolutely flying. In the background, Neil Stevenson sat there in P2, Mark Draper in P3, Ricardo Neto now in P4, under pressure and almost losing another position now. This is Lee Dye, the privateer entry, the 007 machine, looking to the outside. Does he switch back to the inside at turn 1? No, decides to take the wider line in and then look for the cutback. A slight bit of oversteer on the apex, very well held, and you're just never bored in this championship.
Big drifts there from Lee Dye, but Lovesey's lost a bit of time there because he was right on the back of Lee, looking to get up into P5, and obviously Catherwood's now past him. But yeah, Reid-Garton, he's got a job now. Like, this is, you can't ask for more than this. All of your rivals that are on pace with you, like in those low 209s, are out of the race effectively for the win. He just needs to keep it clean, hit his apexes and get going. This is Dan Mould trying to pass Al Brown for P12. Is he going to go up the inside of the hairpin? He's showing his nose. He's not giving that one up. Oh, they're not at the hairpin. I'm completely lost. They're going through the S's down the hill. He's going to send up the inside there. That's an intimidation move. Surely he's not going to pass there. Al's giving him the space. He is. He's done it. He's got his nose in. Now he's going to have the inside for the hairpin, unless Al's got a better exit out of that S section. They're still coming down. Dan's staying there. He's going to be later on the brakes. Al's going to hold it around the outside. Good driving from Al Brown there. Can he get the better exit here? He's going to have the inside for the next corner coming up. They're just going to stay side by side. It looks like they're on the motorway. Can Dan hold it around the outside? Not quite. He's going to have to tuck in behind, and Al Brown holds it off for another couple of corners. Let's see how that plays out.
I have no idea how they didn't make contact. Of course, the pair of them used to be teammates when Dan Mould was at SRL. He made the move over to Igneo Motorsport last season, and he has done wonders for themselves. And now look, door to door almost, as Dan Mould, I was expecting him to sneak his way up the inside, and look at them dicing left and right, just trying to get past. Dan tried to get past, Al trying to defend. Al decides to give him the inside for this right-hander, but then that will give him himself the inside for the final chicane. Al Brown slightly later on the brakes. Is he going to compromise his entry to try and make the most of his exit? There is contact. Dan Mould into the tail end of Al Brown, and both of them continue on, and it seems like Dan has met his match. This is what stands in his way for reverse grid pole position, and Al Brown is not willing to give this up at all. Back up towards the front though. I've seen them chopping and changing on the timing screen. This is Mark Draper on the right-hand side of your screen, Neil Stevenson on the left, and Neil is just about up the inside, trying to get into second place. Mark Draper trying to fend off Neil for that spot on the podium. There's door-to-door contact, and Mark Draper ends up pointing the wrong way through the Mercedes arena, which does therefore put Neto into third, Lee Dye into fourth, Draper down into fifth, and it's Catherwood and Lovesey on their way as well. But I want to have another look back to see what happened with that little incident then.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, Draper's got the pace to get back involved, but it just, you're always at risk around the outside, especially around these sets of corners. I mean, Draper was brave trying it, but Stevenson just, whether he lost control or not, he's still there on the inside. You can see it. So Draper's turning in. It looks like Stevenson's gone a bit deep, but at the same time, he made the corner. So Draper's going to carry on and try and chase him back down. But Neto up into third and Dye up into fourth. And there's battles all over the place. Jack, you've got Catherwood, Lovesey and Gaskin back there with a little train behind them. And Dan Mould's going to be trying to join this. He got past Al Brown in the end. And Al Brown was driving so smart there as well. He kept doing this thing where you kind of, yes, you're compromising your line by defending the inside, but he got the car stopped to get parking it on the apex. And that's exactly what you want to do, because it just throws people like Dan off, and they're going to drive into the back of you and ruin their run down the next straight. So Al doing extremely well there, but Dan has been released, and he's going to be chasing down this little train we see, fighting for P6. Catherwood leading this little train.
Yeah, so Catherwood, he's pretty much the cork in the bottle, because Andy Lovesey, you can just tell by the body language of the car, he really wants to get by and start making inroads on that top five, uses all the curb, all of the suspension travel possible in these Audi RS3s, just trying to gain that little edge on Catherwood. A big lunge up the inside, tries to avoid that pit entry wall. Onto the start finish straight we go for the sixth time of asking. And Andy Lovesey, he's still sat there in seventh place. It's almost a lead duo now, and then we head back to the quartet, led by Gaskin, then Garrity, Walters and Crowther. And then, like you say, Dan Mould, he is on his way. He's got a lot of time to make up, but look at that, 2:09.751, almost a second quicker than the car ahead. So that clean air really starting to work for Dan Mould. Back up to Lee Dye, though. You can see this now. Ricardo Neto runs very, very wide through turn two, just about manages to fend off the attentions of Lee behind. But look how close this is. This is now a three-horse race, led by Neto, then Lee Dye, and then the recovering Mark Draper in desperation, trying to get that last step of the podium.
I wonder if in all of this battling, I'm sure, like, people will be, it's difficult for us because we see a whole list of drivers with points, but all of these guys, as we see Mark Draper going up the inside there of Lee Dye, is he going to hold that? The outside tends to be better for the exit. As I was saying, the championship standings, they're all going to be seeing it just from their name point of view. So Mark Draper currently sits in P2 with 183 points, but he's 2 places back from Ricardo Neto, who's only 13 points behind him in the championship. So those boys must have that in mind whilst they're here battling for a podium. Neil Stevenson's been given the chance to sort of drive away again, and Callum Reed-Garton's still leading the way by at least 3 seconds. So he's just keeping it cool up there ahead.
Yeah, he's doing everything he needs to do, and you can just see Mark Draper is really throwing everything at this, trying to get past Lee Dye, but then of course, if he gets past Lee, he will have Lee in his rearview mirror pressuring him, and he will also try to get past Ricardo Neto, and we know what Ricardo's like. When he is in a position he desperately wants, he will not let anybody take it away from him. Of course, that is the final step on the podium, so Ricardo has got his work cut out for him. In the background though, Catherwood and Lovesey have left the train behind, but they are still battling away. And even further back, almost side by side, Fraser Garrity, a big look up the inside of Anthony Gaskin, left himself slightly vulnerable to Craig Walters, and then Derek Crowther just about hanging on to the coattails of this battle. 4 seconds adrift. There is Dan Mould, quite a little bit further back than I was expecting. We'll see what sort of time he does when he crosses the timing beam this time through. But look how close this trio is, Jack, and it's Neto still just about holding on to P3. Lee Dye in P4. How long that lasts, I don't know, because look at this. Draper's going to give it a go around the outside.
Yeah, the slipstream looking really strong down that main straight as they come down into the hairpin. Little lock up there from Lee Dye. So Ricardo Neto's got a hell of a job. We've got 6.5 minutes left that he wants to hold this for. And you can clearly see that Lee Dye and Mark Draper are not going to let go of this. As Lee Dye's going to have a quick look up the inside of this left-hander. Not quite. He's gone a little bit deep. Little lock up there from Neto, and Mark Draper's just watching and waiting for his time to pounce. Can he get both of them at the same time, or is he going to pick them off one by one as he gets a good exit out of that right-hander? And he's now right on the back of Lee Dye. This isn't really an overtaking spot, but is he going to give it a go? He's having a look. He brakes later than Lee Dye, sends it up the inside, and he gets it done. So now that's one car down, one car to go for that podium spot. So he's back up into P4 is Mark Draper. He needs to chase down Ricardo Neto, who's still within slipstream, and Lee Dye isn't going to give that up, though. He's going to stay on the back of this train as Catherwood and Lovesey now. The more these guys battle, 2 more cars are going to join this little train, and we're going to see how they get on with the slipstream. As Lee Dye's gone wide, he's off. He's gone on the gravel, and around he goes. He's lost 2 places. Catherwood and Lovesey go through, and there's another little train back there. They're not going to quite catch Lee Dye up, but Lee Dye down 2 places from a mistake of his own making, and Mark Draper chasing down Ricardo Neto for P3 down through the fast X section.
Yeah, that's such a costly mistake from Lee Dye. Like you say, he lost 1 position. Of course, then that will have infuriated him a little bit. And then you just lose that slight bit of concentration, and he's lost another 2. So from 4th right the way down to 7th in the space of half a lap. And Neto will be kicking himself thinking, oh man, why did you have to let him through? Because Mark Draper is definitely biting at, or chomping at the bit, I should say, trying to get past Ricardo Neto, and he's just about within striking distance now. And like I say, if these two start to battle, there is Lovesey and Catherwood both battling away. Lovesey in front of Catherwood now. I think that was just, I think the pair of them have just swapped positions. Let's have a little look. So here we are.
Be a hell of a late break. Is he going to go around the outside? No, he takes it. Look at that for a textbook dummy move. Goes to the outside and then sends out the inside. That's a great move from Lovesey. Up into P5.
Yeah, great move from himself. And now look at this, Fraser Garrity trying to do something of the same. He's going to have to brake really late on the inside here, because of course the track is much, much shorter there. And look at that, that's Craig Walters with another late lunge trying to squeeze his way through that almost made contact at the apex as everybody slowly starts to squeeze towards the centre of the circuit. Anthony Gaskin still leading this, 4-car train now, quickly developing into a 5-car train, because look who is within reach. 1 second away from Derek Crowther is Dan Mould and Ignia Motorsport, so he's getting closer and closer and closer, and we've just got to hope Dan Mould is slightly more efficient at getting through the traffic than Draper, because Draper's really struggling behind Neto. But if Dan Mould can slowly work his way through, saying that, he doesn't really have to. If he sits where he is, he's only got 4 minutes to stick in 12th place. That'll put him on pole position. So you've almost got to think about the long game at this point. Would you rather get a couple of positions, have a few more people to get past at Heat 2, but hopefully even out the points, or would you rather just sit here and get reverse grid pole and see what you can do about getting that top step in Heat 2?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Dan's mindset here. Like you said, I mean, it's an easy pole position, and you've got to say that he's going to have the pace to win if he does start on pole. But at the same time, when you see a gaggle of 4 cars in front of you like that, and you're a racing driver, you're going to want to get involved. I don't think Dan's going to sit there. I think he's going to want to try and get through them and just see how high he can get. As you can see, the wing mirrors flapping about some of these cars. That's Crowther with his right mirror flapping about. Dan is all over the back of him. He's going to be trying to pass this train. He's got 4 cars in front of him, chat. That's got to be worth for the points. Just to start in effectively 4th or 5th place in the next race. He needs to try. He's all over the back of him. Look at that for a cracking shot right behind. He's going to go up the inside of the fast right. So before they even get to the chicane, this is going to put him on the outside of the chicane. Now he's got a car in front of him. That's Walters up ahead. Is that going to hinder his exit? He gets right late on the brakes. He's still around the outside, and he gets the move down when he's on the inside for the second apex. Good move from Dan Mould there, effectively around the outside of the chicane. Onwards to Craig Walters, who's having a look at Fraser Geraghty there, who has now got a bit of a gap to Gaskin as he's putting under the pressure. But this is the main straight. This is where the slipstream's working really hard, especially as they go downhill into the braking zone for the hairpin of turn 1. So we're on the car of Geraghty going down here. He's under pressure from Craig Walters, who gets a little bit of a squirm under brakes. And you can see, oh, look at this. That's Ricardo Neto under pressure from Mark Draper. There he goes. Mark Draper up into P2 now. But Ricardo Neto is not going to let this go. He's on the outside. That's a dangerous place to be. That's where we saw them make contact earlier. Lovesey hits Ricardo Neto, but saves it. Great save from Neto there to hold P4. And Lovesey now, he's in this whole battle for the podium. He's going to be all over the back of Ricardo Neto, but Draper is on the back of Stevenson for P2. All whilst this is going on, Callum Reed-Garton gets the drive off into the distance. Lovesey up the inside of the right-hander now. Oh my God, let him have a bit of breathing space, Andrew. Come on, look at him go. Ricardo Neto soaking up the pressure. And there he goes. He's flashing his lights. We've seen that before. And he really wants that position, Jack.
He does indeed. There's been lots of chopping and changing up at the top end of the order. So Stevenson has dropped back. Draper is definitely there trying to gain another position on the podium. And let's hope there's no hard feelings between the pair of them. After all, they did swap positions after a little bit of contact earlier on. Ricardo Neto, he just can't seem to catch a break. Andy Lovesey has managed to leave Catherwood. Lee Dye has worked past Catherwood as well. Another little look up the inside from Andy Lovesey in the number 1 Ignium Motorsport machine. Very close to the tail end of Ricardo Neto there. Ricardo chopping across the nose, saying, no, you're going to have to work for this one. And now onto the back straight. Ricardo Neto places the car perfectly on the apex. So Andy Lovesey has to get out of the throttle. He then can't carry that momentum down the back straight. So Ricardo, really clever driving for himself. And now look up here. This is Neil Stevenson on the inside. He's going to have to brake really late to try and defend this position. Mark Draper, we've seen, he's more than happy to go around the inside or the outside just to get that position. It looks like the 16 got the best run of the two. And look at this now. This is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 cars for P2. If it all goes wrong up at the front, Ricardo Neto is going to have an absolutely dream run. But look at this now. Andy Lovesey is under pressure from Lee Dye, so he didn't get the best run through there. Catherwood is going to have the draft assistance from Dye as well, so maybe in towards turn 1, Andy Lovesey, he could lose 2 positions here, and he's gone from what was 5th place, challenging for 4th, right the way down to 6th, almost 7th now, still side by side. Lee Dye does work his way all the way around the outside. Catherwood gets held up slightly, pushing Andy Lovesey through that section of the circuit, but it's all go.
I wonder if Lovesey's had a slowdown in the chicane, because it was weird for him to lose so much time down that straight as they're still battling, but he's obviously trying to minimise the penalty from that slowdown. We need to stay on board with this fight, but just a quick mention for Dan Mould, who was up into P10, but he's now back down to P12. So I don't know what's happened there, but we need to stay with these guys because they are all over it. This is the last lap, I believe. We've gone past the 20-minute mark, and they're fighting hard from all the way from 2nd effectively down to 7th as Lovesey looks up the inside of Lee Dye. There's a bit of smoke ahead. I don't know who that was, if that's all safe and good. Lee Dye still defending from Lovesey. That's the number 16 of Neil Stevenson. There must have been contact up ahead. He's dropping down the order. He was in 2nd place and he's now down. He's being passed left, right and centre. Gives a bit of a nudge to Lee Dye into the hairpin. They're going round. Look at the back end of that 007 car. It's been smashed, hit left, right and centre. And now Lovesey's still side by side. But Lee Dye is going to have the inside for this corner. Lovesey's going to have to be brave. He hangs it around the outside. What a move through the fast left-right section. And now Lovesey's up into P4. Ricardo Neto back on the podium, and he's probably got a little bit of breathing space now. But Lee Dye losing a bit of time there. Stevenson's going to want to try and get back up the order, and Catherwood's right behind. Who's going to come out on top in this little battle? As they come round here, this is up ahead. I'll let you take over, Jack.
Oh, that's what happened. Mark Draper evidently not too happy with Neil Stevenson. And we do have Callum Reed-Garton coming through the final corner, lights ablaze, and it has been a terrific drive from himself. Almost 20 seconds clear at the line for CRG. Mark Draper is under pressure from Ricardo Neto. Ricardo, a big look up the inside in towards the final corner. Late on the brakes, they do hit each other. They tip each other around, and it's Mark Draper pointing backwards after a little bit of a spin. So is Ricardo Neto. It's all gone wrong. And Andy Lovesey crosses the line in second place. Lee Dye gets third. That gap must have been minuscule at the line. Lovesey takes second, Dye takes third, Draper fourth, Stevenson takes fifth, Catherwood in sixth, Gaskin in seventh, Garrity eighth, Craig Walters in ninth, and Dan Mould crosses the line in 10th place. But after all of that, I know Ricardo Neto almost elbowed himself off that podium. He's got Heat 2 pole.
Well, that's a bit of fluky luck there, Jack. What a messy ending. I mean, there's a very thin line between hero and zero, and I mean, yes, he's got pole, but that was a late lunge at the best, and it has cost him P2/3 in the end there, I reckon, for Ricardo Neto. But like you said, he's not going to be too disappointed. He's going to start first in the next race, but he does have Dan Mould only 2 places behind him.
He does indeed, and Scott Tuffy, he just cannot get any luck swinging his way in this series this season. Last season he had some great results, got to the podium on multiple occasions, and this season it just really isn't working for him. Halfway through though, let's hope his luck starts to change. Crosses the line in 17th place, so 209.929 posted on that final lap, so definitely a quick lap from himself, so he does have the pace. Here is Scott Malcolm, the Scotsman in the number 74 Team Mad Machine. Through the final chicane we go, and I've got to say, quite out of place I should say, for Scott Malcolm. We're used to seeing him slightly higher up the order. Derek Pocock just in the background in the privateer entry, and once again, after a little incident at the start, I think when he got caught up with Scott Tuffy, that was pretty much race over for himself. He crosses the line now. We do still have Scrabo working his way through the final corner for Tanso Racing, and I've got to say, for a first drive in the series, he definitely didn't have a boring race. Everything kicked off, of course, caught up in that incident with Scott Tuffy. It didn't really stand him in good stead. We do have a 5-minute warm-up, but Jack, I'm going to hand over to you to rattle us through the Heat 1 results.
Yeah, no problem. So, Callum Reed-Garton, like you said, takes your Heat 1 win for Ignium Motorsport, 17 seconds ahead in the end of Andrew Lovesey, P2. So it's a 1-2 for Ignium there. And then this is the gap that we wanted to see between Andrew and Lee Dye, second and third. And the gap is 2-3 tenths of a second there. So very close. And then look at the gap behind that. Mark Draper in fourth place, only 800ths behind Lee Dye. Neil Stevenson in fifth. 3 tenths back. Dean Catherwood 6th for Simtech Racing, so both Neil and Dean for Simtech in 5th and 6th. Anthony Gaskin 7th, Fraser Geraghty in 8th, Craig Walters in 9th, and Dan Mould taking 10th place, so starting in 3rd place for Heat 2. Derek Crowther is going to be starting P2, and Ricardo Neto takes 12th place in the end after a late dive on the final corner, resulting in a loss of a podium, but a pole position for Heat 2. 26 seconds back from the lead. We then have the 2 Brown boys, Al Brown and John Brown in 13th and 14th, Stuart Gibbons in 15th, David Smith 16th, Scott Tuffy comes home in 17th. He's going to be one to watch in Heat 2, as he definitely has the pace to be up the top end, so let's see how far he can go. Scott Malcolm in 18th place, Derek Pocock 19th, Carl Lukeman in 20th, John Scrabo up 2 positions from where he started on his first attempt, in 21st place, Mike Wilson 22nd, and Tom Stanley rounding off the field in 23rd place.
Thank you very much, Jack. And that was, we say week in, week out, it won't get closer than that. And tonight, yes, everybody got their elbows out, but some great racing nonetheless. Andy Lovesey, brilliant moves. The quick is sort of to the right, to the left, and then hard on the brakes. Managed to sell the dummy to a couple of drivers. I think it was Catherwood at the time. He worked his way through, and then round the outside of, I'm trying to figure out who that was. It wasn't Neto at the time. I think it was Lee Dye possibly. He worked his way past around the outside through the Schumacher S. It's just great racing from everyone involved. But we are going to take a quick 5-minute break, if that, as we are already 2 minutes into this warm-up session. So give us 3 minutes, and we'll be back with you for race 2. Don't go away. So, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping we do have Jack Johns back with us, and wow, if Heat 1 is anything to go off, Heat 2 is only going to be closer. Of course, the championship is still up for grabs. That is in no way settled. We're only at the halfway point in the season, Jack, so how can it get closer from this?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just having a mini egg, but we are. How can it get much closer? Well, I mean that's kind of blown it right open with Dan Mole down in 10th place. It's not the race he would have been hoping for, and as we said earlier, we've mentioned it a few times. It's really close in that midfield battle. So it just takes one move from one person, and it really throws it all out of whack. In this case, it was Neto on the final corner of the final lap. But here they are again, lining up for Heat 2. Neto's got a clear view ahead of him, but he's going to have Crowther for company on the same row and Mould right behind him. You've got to say, for this race, Mould's going to be the one who is going to be putting all the pressure on. I do want to see one where Callum Reid-Garton can get up to, because he's down in 12th place and was the quickest in the last race. But also, Scott Tuffy needs some luck, doesn't he? He's down in 17th place. How far can he get up the order, Jack, after this rolling start again?
Well, that's all down to what turn 1 holds for the drivers. Of course, last time it didn't really end how a lot of the drivers wanted to. But you've got to think, Dan Mould, what a drive back through the order. There was battles absolutely everywhere. But to get through that and not gain any more scratches on your car, very impressive. But to do it in such a manner where you've already been thrown out of your rhythm, even better. So Dan Mould sat on row 2 of the grid, starting in P3. Let's see what he can do, but it is Riccardo Neto on pole position. I think instead of watching the leader in towards turn 1, we're going to go very almost against the grain here, and I want to look at the mid-pack. I think Stevenson would probably be a good place to start, because that's where it all went wrong last time, and if it's going to go wrong this time, that might be where it goes.
That's right, and let's not forget the start's going to be a little bit different. We had Callum wait till the last split second before he went, and that really bunched the pack up. But what's Neto going to do? Is he going to go early, or is he going to do the same thing and minimize that run down to turn 1? He's going around the final corner now. It looks fairly fast. Is he going to slow back down? That's what you don't really want to do. You don't want to be changing speeds too much, as that is when the chaos ensues. Look, everyone at the back flying around the final corner. I don't know if they think they've gone. No, there we go. It's nice and safe still. So he's waiting for the last second. Lee Dye's flashing his lights, and the green light is on, and the engines are roaring as they head down towards turn 1. Dan Mould looked to have a good start, but Lee Dye, oh, is that Fraser Geraghty? Sorry, wrong car, same colours, is going past Dan Mould. He's on the outside into turn 1. There's a bit of contact there. Oh, 3 cars round, as you said. Turn 1, it's happened again. That is Dean Catherwood. He's gone round. He is out, and one of the SRL cars also. That's Craig Walters, it says it on the screen, and John Brown cannot get a break today, although he doesn't look like he's got as much damage as earlier, and Mike Wilson also down there, but people changing the order. Scott Tuffy up into 12th place, but Dan Mould is right down there. What's happened to Dan? He's down in 14th place, so he hasn't really gained after that. We'll have to have another look at the start later on, but Callum Reid-Garton passing Fraser Geraghty up into P5. We've got Neto leading, Crowther second, Stevenson third, and Lovesey in 4th place. Neil Stevenson up 5 places at the start there. What a start.
Yeah, I just don't know how they do it, and you can see everybody running wide through that section of the circuit. It's still CRG in 5th place, despite the best intentions of Fraser Geraghty. Then it's Gibbons and Dye swapping places. Gibbons looks for the cutback, almost chopping himself over the nose of Al Brown there. Then it's Scott Malcolm, Tom Stanley, Scott Tuffy sat there at the tail end of that train, and look how close it is in the background as well. There is Dan Mould. We've got 2 cars side by side. That's Pocock and Lukeman changing position through the Schumacher S. Lukeman, the inside evolves to the outside, but he does get that position made. Closest cars we've got on the circuit currently, Tom Stanley and Scott Tuffy. Scott looking around the outside. That doesn't really work. Both of them go rattling over the curbs. And then onto the back straight we go. And just look how close it is. Fraser Geraghty and Andy Lovesey trading places a little further up. Let's hope that wasn't another slowdown. He's very much off the racing line, and I think that could have been, yeah, another slowdown penalty for Andy Lovesey. He's now going to come under pressure from Lee Dye, and that might have to be a very late move from Lee if he wants to get that position made. On the brakes, however, he is in front, and around the outside he goes. Lee Dye up into 6th place, and Andy Lovesey then looks for the cutback. Then is Stuart Gibbons rattling over the curbs once again, loses the position to Al Brown just about in towards the final corner, and let's see what he can do about defending around the outside. No, it's Al Brown up into 8th place. Stuart Gibbons has left himself vulnerable. If I put my teeth back in to Scott Malcolm, we have had a change for the lead. However, what has happened to Riccardo Neto? I think that's a slowdown.
to slow down in the chicane, and it's just all going on, Jack. It's hard to keep track of anything. You got Lovesey got back past Lee Dye into the final corner after getting passed into the chicane. So this is Crowther passing Neto for the lead, but as we said, Neto must have had a slowdown. He pulls over to the right. Through goes Crowther and Stevenson as Neto tumbles down the order, and Andrew Lovesey's had a spin into turn 1 after all that close battling. I wonder if he's got damage. Oh my God, who's this? Does he go? Oh no! No. Scott Malcolm gets it all wrong into turn 1. Locks up, and he tried doing the right thing there as he tags another car for good measure. He tried doing the right thing and avoiding the 3 cars in front of him, but he just ended up cutting across turn 1 as Neil Stevenson's off now into the gravel. Jesus Christ, Jack, what's going on? There's cars off all over the place.
I just don't know where to look. It's all going wrong. Neil Stevenson went off the road. Let's see what happened here. Who's that rattling over the gravel? Let's hope they don't rejoin into the side, and it's Crowther. Yeah, like you say, race leader into the side of Stevenson. And we've got Fraser Garrity in the lead for the first time since, I think, Donington Park. We have got Garrity in the lead. What has happened to Callum Reid-Garton? So he gets through there, then gets collected, and that's the front suspension broken. Callum Reid-Garton is out of the race. So he has returned to the pit lane. It's Fraser Garrity in the lead with a 3.5 second gap back to Tom Stanley. Not quite right, Jack. Tom Stanley, who's up 21 places. So he started right at the tail end of the order, 21 places up into P2. It's an absolute dream start to Heat 2 of the night. Dan Mould sat there in third, back up to where he started, piling the pressure on Stanley. This is where Garrity really needs to get the bit between his teeth and just absolutely drive into the distance, and let's hope that that happens, because of course Dan Mould, he will need no second question to get back up towards the top end of the order. Here is Derek Pocock trying to attack and defend all at the same time. Scott Tuffy up 10 places, Derek Pocock up 11, Mike Wilson up 13. So the order has been massively shuffled around, and I said before the stream this could be one of the closest nights in regards to the championship, and it's just been flipped on its head. The championship and just the complexion of the entire series is going to be completely different when it comes to round 6.
Yeah, swings and roundabouts, Jack, as Stevenson gains another 2 places there. We just saw him dive up the inside of turn 1, and Dan Mould's going up into P2. This is exactly what we were talking about. Dan Mould has been extremely lucky, because it's just like, I mean, he dropped down the order, but since he dropped down the order, it's just kind of opened up for him, like Moses parting the sea. And he's just up into P2, and now he's going to chase down Fraser Garrity. He's got 15 minutes to hold that lead as Fraser, 3 seconds up the road. Can he do it? I've been told off for saying that he can't before, so we're just going to see what happens. Let's see what happens. Ricardo Neto down in 5th place, chasing down Al Brown as they come down towards, this is the hairpin. Scott Tuffy's just behind, and Derek Pocock just behind as well. So a decent little train here. Al Brown the cork in this bottle, but can he hold off? We've seen how hard Al can defend, as there's a long old train behind him. He's moving, he's pushing Neto out to the right. That's a good move there. So now Neto's going to come under pressure from Scott Tuffy behind. He's going to have a good run out of this fast section. Can he get past, though, into this next fast left? He's tried the outside before. We know it doesn't work. Can he do it this time? He's going to have to brake extremely late, and he's gone wide. So it hasn't worked again. But look, who is that? That's Pocock trying to get through. He's lifted off and backed out of that. So Neto's still in P5 as he chases down Al Brown. But watch this, Jack. You got Scott Tuffy now. It's flat out all the way through here up into the chicane. Is he going to late brake on the inside or the outside? Neto's defending early. He's made his intentions clear, and he moves back over. Scott not late enough on the brakes to make that move. He's playing it safe and thinking about that points finish. Yeah, he decided early that that move wasn't going to be made, and you can see in the space of half a lap, Ricardo Neto has gone from attack to defence. He was looking around the outside of Al Brown, like you said, in towards that hairpin, and now Scott Tuffy all over the tail, tucked underneath the rear wing of that Audi TCR, crossing the line once again. Dan Mould's fastest lap of the race, 7/10 quicker than race leader Fraser Garrity with a 2:10.325. And Scott Tuffy, what does he do this time? Does he have a late look up the inside? He does. You can see the nose of the car dive as he jumps on the brakes. Neil Stevenson, very hot in
in. Does he make contact? A little bit of a nudge into the tail end of Derek Pocock, but they all do continue on. Scott Tuffy, I think, being slightly late on the brakes, that compromised his entry, which further compromised his exit, which then has led Ricardo Neto just go, right, you know what, if you're going to do that, I'm going to try and break away. A little bit of a love tap through there once again, but Ricardo Neto trying to get back past Al Brown, see what he can do about making up for lost positions. Tom Stanley, like you say, he lost out to Dan Mould just a few laps ago. 3/10 in the distance is Dan Mould now. 2.4 seconds the lead up to Fraser Garrity, but I just don't want to look away from this train. It's what, led by Tom Stanley, then Al Brown, Ricardo Neto, Scott Tuffy, Derek Pocock, Neil Stevenson, Mike Wilson, Carl Lukeman and Mark Draper. Look at this now, 3 wide into the hairpin. I want to look away. This surely can't work. They struggle to go 2 wide in towards turn 1. They do make contact and they all go around. Carl Lukeman first. Draper does continue on. And it's Mike Wilson left stationary in the middle of the road, and 3 into 1 doesn't go. And to be honest, I expected nothing less. That was very optimistic.
Yeah, 3 into 1 doesn't go, Jack. You're 100% right. I mean, I want to say it's possible to get through there 3 wide, but you just need to be able to give each other that wiggle room, and there was none there as Mark sends it up the inside and just gets cut across as well. So it's up to all the cars to give room and know that they're there, and it just didn't happen in that situation. But Neil Stevenson, just a quick mention to him, he's up into 8th again, but his braking performance into turn 1 is absolutely, like, it's just amazing. He's so late on the brakes. It needs to be renamed, that corner, to Stevenson corner or something, because he nearly, get it, nearly took out some drivers as he broke late into turn 1. But he's been making moves there every time. It's definitely his favourite, although he's a bit far back this time round. But Al Brown's still leading this train. Stanley's going to come under a lot of pressure quite shortly, as these 3 are battling and still closing that gap. Neto now going to look around the outside of turn 1. Is this going to work? Can he get the switchback? Tuffy's right out there as well. He's going to look to get a good exit. Can he get the switchback? Is he going to come under pressure from Neil, who breaks late again? Al Brown now on the outside of this left-hander, so Neto goes up a position. Scott Tuffy's going to have the inside now, but Al manages to squeeze in between. He's still there. Is he going to have the inside for the left-hander? Is he going to have a look? Doesn't quite get it in there. Neto up into P4. Loses the back end a little bit, does Al Brown. And then Scott Tuffy at the inside of the right-hander, but doesn't get his nose in time. And Al Brown still in P5. So Neto up into P4. Scott Tuffy now looking to pass Brown as Neto chases down Tom Stanley in 3rd place. Mould still chasing down Fraser out in the lead.
Yeah, it's just only getting closer. Tuffy and Brown almost making a little bit of contact. Derek Pocock trying to get in on the mix, bringing Neil Stevenson with him, who is in exactly the same position as where he started, up in 8th place. So you can only go forward from here. A little further up, you can see everybody getting closer. Al Brown trying to stay within touching distance of Neto, but when you've got Stuffy in your rearview mirror, that is definitely a difficult task. And you can see now, looking around the outside, almost a bit of an overlap there, but Scott Tuffy pushing Al Brown through the Schumacher S. Up the hill we go once again. This is one of the corners where it's deceptively almost late braking. You can brake as late as you dare. Scott Tuffy this time does have the inside line and does hug the apex to ensure that he doesn't make any sort of contact. Decides, you know what, I'll compromise my entry on the way through here, try and grab the best apex, and then you of course do get that draft assistance which you've mentioned, Jack, down this back straight. We've got the very quick right hand kink, and then on the brakes, what does Scott Tuffy do? Does he do an Andy Lovesey-esque late brake? And let's see what he does later on the brakes, possibly for Scott Tuffy. The nose dives down and up into 5th place momentarily, and he does hold on to 5th, does the number 21 machine. Al Brown down into 6th. Derek Pocock now trying to pile on the pressure with Neil Stevenson still in tow. The closest cars we've got on circuit, Jack, however, apart from these two, are now the leaders.
Oh, look, here they go. So Fraser coming down into turn 1. Dan Mould's going to be right behind him. I'd imagine Stevenson's going to have a look at Pocock as well. Dan Mould doesn't look like he's going to have a look this time. Can he get a switchback or some sort of better exit? He tries it. Not quite. So it's not going to happen through this section as he chases through these corners. That battle behind looking extremely close. I'll tell you what, a lot of respect between Tuffy and Brown. Like you said, Tuffy definitely lifted off on the exit of that corner to give him room. And Brown looking like he did the same into the chicane, but look at this now. They're getting close. Mould is all over the back of Garrity for the lead now. There's 9 minutes left. This is going to be a hell of a job to defend this, especially with the pace advantage that Mould has this time round. As they come through the S section, he's just going to wait and pick his moment. He probably knows it's just these two out in front, as we've got some more side-by-side action. This is Pocock and Brown. He's going to go around the outside and have the inside for this. Oh, they touch. Al Brown is round. Stevenson goes round, well held by Al Brown there. He's still in the race. He hasn't got damage, but now Stevenson is going to pass Pocock as a result of that contact. Up into P6 to chase down Scott Tuffy up ahead into the hairpin. Is Pocock going to have a look at anything here? No, he's going to stay behind. And now, look, he's pretty much pushing him down the straight is Dan Mould on Fraser Geraghty. As they come round this section, it's the chicane next. Fraser's going to have to defend if he doesn't want Dan to launch it up the inside. He's not going to this time round. So they come in, and it's not even the chicane I thought it was. It's the big S section. So that's why he didn't launch it up there. So they're going to come round this all-important right-hander. They need to get the best exit he can, does Dan Mould, as he stays in the slipstream now. Flat out through here, flat out through the right-hander. Where is Fraser going to go? Is he going to cover the inside, or is he going to let Dan have the inside and try and hold it round the outside? Dan's just pushing him along. Doesn't lunge this time round. He knows turn one is a little bit more important. Although he messes up the exit of the chicane there, Fraser getting a little bit of a run as they come round the final corner.
Yeah, it seems like Fraser just took a slightly smoother line through there. Dan Mould a bit too much curve. We do have this great camera angle. Let's hope it swings around in towards turn one. It is doing so, so thank you, Mr. Helicopter Pilot, for listening to me. And we do have Dan Mould quite the way back, not within striking distance. It's going to have to be one hell of a lunge on the brakes. He'll need some Neil Stevenson braking performance in towards turn one. And yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to see a lead change. However, Fraser Geraghty does go very slightly deep through turn one, but nothing too much to worry himself and his lead. A little further back, we've still got Mark Draper and Anthony Gaskin going at it. Mark Draper looking around the outside. We've seen it work a couple of times, but this time not so fortunate for himself. Has a little look up the inside in towards the Mercedes arena, but nothing happens just as yet. But once again, it's still Fraser Geraghty in the lead. Dan Mould, we've seen an overtake here once before. Is Dan going to go for it this time? No, he decides he's just going to bide his time, still with 6 minutes of the race remaining. So he's got all the time in the world to make this position. And we know what Dan's like. It's not just him like getting that overtake done, getting it up the inside. It's just having him in your rearview mirrors. It's such a great prospect. You've got to think, is Fraser Geraghty going to make a mistake?
And is Dan Mould toying with him? That's the other question. I mean, he's all over the back of him. I wonder if he, I mean, it's all well and good. He's playing it smart, isn't he? He doesn't want to cause another crash. We've seen enough crashes in this race for one 20-minute sprint race for my liking anyway, Jack. But yeah, he's playing it smart at the moment, is Dan Mould. He's not making any stupid moves. He really wants the move to be committed and easily done without any contact whatsoever. And we've got Scott Tuffy still chasing down Neto now, but he's much closer than before. Again, the slipstream into turn one is going to be really important. I haven't seen many people actually commit to the chicane, apart from a few in Heat 1. But turn one seems to be the most important overtaking zone so far. As Dan Mould, this is a great view. Really shows sometimes how Dan is really nailing the apexes. Fraser, as we said, went wide into turn one this lap. It doesn't make too much of a difference as they get really close through the mid-sector, but there's not really any overtaking zones as Pocock has a look around the outside of Stevenson into the chicane. Is he going to get turned in? Not quite. Goes deep. Can't get the switch back there. Stevenson still in P6 there.
Yeah, so it's only getting closer. Here is Ricardo Neto leading Scott Tuffy for the moment. Back up to the front we go, though. It's still Fraser Geraghty somehow fending off reigning champion of Dan Mould. And you've got to think he's underneath the rear wing, just dabbing the brakes. You could see the brake lights flash ablaze just for a short moment. So Dan Mould, yeah, he is just thinking, right, okay, if I'm going to make this move, it needs to be clean, and I need to make sure that we can both carry on. Because, of course, Fraser Geraghty, he really does make the most of those reverse grids. He did at Donington Park last time out and led the race for quite some time until it was taken away from him. And the privateer driver, of course, with no help around, he's got to drive this car like he's stolen it, and Dan Mould is making sure he does so. I'm going to have to look away just for a short while as John Brown, of course, himself on a recovery drive, sat in P12 trying to get past Carl Lukeman, who's also trying to do the same to Anthony Gaskin. And that lead gap, it's ebbing and flowing very slightly, but it's constantly within, what, about 0.2 of a second. So, like you said, Jack, I do think Dan Mould is just having a bit of a play at the moment. He's thinking, right, I can pass him when I really want to, but for the moment, I'm just going to make it look good for the cameras and make sure Fraser can get plenty of screen time.
Yeah, it's so close, and I don't know if Fraser heard us talking about his turn one, but he hit the apex but by a long way this time into turn 1. So that's good driving from him. Tom Stanley having a bit of a lonely race in P3, but I'm sure he doesn't mind when he's up 20 places from the start. Scott Tuffy's up 12, and he's chasing down Ricardo Neto, who's lost 3 places in this race so far. He's going to want this position, Scott. He needs a good race. I said he was one to watch. He started in 17th place, I believe. So now here he is in the top 5, chasing down P4 as they come round this S section. They're 2x2 battles. Who have we got here? We've got Neto and Tuffy. We've got Stevenson and Pocock and Geraghty and Mould. Stanley by himself. I tell you what, Scrabbo's up into 15th. That's a good race for his second attempt. Scott Tuffy, look at... Oh, that was dangerous. Now he's going to have a look around the outside of this corner again. Not quite. Breaks in nicely. He's going to try and get the switchback. Doesn't quite get the run on the exit that he would have hoped for. Ricardo Neto getting a nice, good exit. So it's going to be into turn 1 again as they come through 2x2. But Stevenson and Pocock catching up to these two, actually. So the less those two battle, they're going to be involved in this battle for 4th place. And who knows, they might be closing into Tom Stanley as well, as Carl Lukeman comes under pressure from John Brown. Well, I say under pressure. That was made very easy for John Brown as he goes through. That must be a slowdown for Carl Lukeman there. As we are on board with Stevenson here, and Pocock doesn't quite make it this time, gets turned in. Scott Tuffy doesn't make it either. Take more curb, Stevenson. Jesus. There we go. Coming around the left-hander. Tuffy is trying to get the switch back there. It's not quite working, although he's over the back of Neto. And then it's just, there's so many varying lines into this section, Jack. It's so hard to know what everyone's trying to do. As you can see perfectly from this camera, he's trying to get the switch back again. It's all about trying to maximize your exit, get the most traction you can out of those tyres. And it's just not working. They're so even on pace. It's just not happening yet for Scott Tuffy. But we've got 1.5 minutes left. He's going to look down the inside of the right-hander. There's going to be contact here. Not quite. You know what? That's as clean and as tight as you want to get through there. But Ricardo Neto still out on top in 4th place.
Yeah, somehow Neto is driving the widest Audi LMS TCR I have ever seen. Just Scott Tuffy is one formidable driver, and if you can hold him behind for as long as Ricardo Neto has done, well, props to you. That's great stuff from the pair of them. Great respectful driving. And then here we've got Derek Pocock going for a bit of a rally drive through the gravel. A little further back, I think we might have just missed on possibly a change of position. But they were definitely closer when I was about to click on them, were Mark Draper and Anthony Gaskin. Here is Ricardo Neto still fending off Scott Tuffy, who goes through the gravel further up though. Look at this, Geraghty under the most amount of pressure that we've seen him throughout the entire race. We are just going to squeeze another lap in there, passing the 19-minute and 30-second mark. So we're going to cross the line, and this will be the final lap. And they've been battling so hard. Look who's in the distance. Well, not really in the distance anymore. Within 1 second of Dan Mould is Tom Stanley. So if it all goes wrong, he's going to come through and pick up the pieces. Great night for himself, but I just can't get over what a defensive drive Fraser Geraghty has raced throughout Heat 2 of the night. We go on to the final lap of the race this time, and then we will see Dan Mould hopefully go for a slightly more offensive route through the circuit. But of course, he's been very kind, making sure he's not making any sort of late lunges, any sort of nudges throughout the circuit. But this is when we might see Dan get his elbows out, just a little bump and run into every corner, see what he can do about throwing Fraser Geraghty off his mark. But of course, he will now see Tom Stanley in his mirror. So it's all go for the lead duo. Then we've got, it's pretty much a trio now. Now we've got Ricardo Neto trying to fend off Scott Tuffy, who has got a charging Neil Stevenson trying to get up into that top 5. And then we've got Mark Draper and Al Brown battling away, both cars carrying a slight bit of damage, but back up to the front we go. Fraser Geraghty still in the lead, Jack.
Yeah, so after all of a sudden, in these last couple of laps, all of them are really using every inch of the circuit. We've seen a few people going off and using the gravel, but Scott Tuffy and Stevenson looking close. Pocock must have had a slowdown in the chicane as he's lost out now. Dan Mould picking his opportunity wisely, but like you said, Tom Stanley right behind now. He hasn't been able to see many people all race, and now he's right on the back of this podium fight. Dan Mould all over the back of Geraghty. They're coming into the fast left-right, so it's not going to be done here. It's not even a braking zone. I'm pretty sure it's flat. Small confidence lifter down there as he's right up the backside of Fraser Geraghty as they come through now. There is a braking zone here. Surely not on the inside of this one, Dan. No, he brakes early and lets Fraser go. But Tom Stanley all over the back of Dan now. I wonder if he's going to make a lunge in for P2. That's going to ruin Dan's chances of a win here. Maybe, if he was toying with Fraser, then this is where it's going to pay Dan back a little bit of karma, as Tom Stanley now is going to be all over the back of him into the chicane. Although he's had a poor exit out of there and the slipstream not working as much as it is for Dan. He's closing in on Fraser, heading towards the chicane. Fraser gets it turned in. All nice and clean there, so it's not going to be done this time round as we're coming round. This is the final lap. We've gone past the 20-minute mark. Fraser enters the final corner in the lead. He's led it for pretty much the whole thing, and around he goes and across the line. Dan Mould flashing his lights. Fraser Geraghty is your winner of Heat 2. Dan Mould in second, and Tom Stanley crosses the line in P3. But what's happening behind? Neto, Tuffy, Stevenson and Pocock finish in the same order we've seen, and Draper has got ahead of Brown in P8 there. So these two have had a little battle, and there's another fight back behind. That's Gaskin Brown and Lee Dye, who's got a bit of a run. That's going to be close across the line, and Carl Lukeman finishes in P13. Who have we got next? We've got Gibbons somewhere back there. There he is all by himself. Stuart Gibbons, number 47, crosses the line in 14th, and John Scrabo on his second appearance. First round completely, but his second race is up into P15. Lonely race for the Tanzo Racing team.
It was indeed, but you got to say, for the first night in the championship, he has not been left bored. There's so much to watch, and like you said before the stream, Jack, that a lot of these drivers do watch this back on multiple times. Sometimes, literally, as soon as the stream reposts after we've finished streaming for the evening, they are straight back in, just trying to see what happened, going, oh, what happened elsewhere in the circuit, or did they catch my battle? And that's great to see. It's got a proper club racing feel about it. But I've got to say, it's been a very, very eventful night. Callum Reed-Garton, after that incident, is going to cross the line in 16th place. So he's had the very top step of the podium, and towards the tail end of the order, we had a few retirements. Wilson, Lovesey and Malcolm, just to name a few. I think Walters and Catherwood had to sadly retire from the race as well. Here is David Smith in the 118 SRL machine. Through the final corner we go. You don't want to use much more circuit than that, Dave, through there. You riding the white line up towards that braking zone, and then it's Derek Crowther just in the distance. Of course, Derek was leading the race for a short while, I think, until he made that slight mistake and ended up being collected then by another driver. But I've got to say, Fraser Geraghty, what a race. He didn't just get to the front and then lead. He had to fend off Dan Mould, Dan, raiding champion, currently championship leader, and he is one of the most formidable drivers in this series. And to fend him off for, what, 4, 5, 6 laps, and still cross the line in P1. Well done to you. I take my hat off to you, Fraser.
Yeah, he done a cracking job there, and did he prove me wrong, Jack? I didn't say that it was unlikely this time round, so maybe it was just me not putting the commentator's curse on Fraser, but not taking nothing away from him. Pure skill, soaked up the pressure. Whether Dan was toying with him or not, it didn't matter in the end. He's taken the win, and when Dan needed to make the move, he couldn't do it, and that's the important thing. So Fraser really showing what he's made of there. And Tom Stanley, what can we say? He started in 20. Well, I don't know where he started, but it was down there somewhere. He's up 20 places. Madness, a mad race for him. But of course, there was absolute chaos at the start. Ricardo Neto, I don't think he can be disappointed with that. Yes, he lost 3 places, but he still finished in P4. The pressure from Scott Tuffy, absolutely mad. A really close battle there from P4 down to P7, really. And Mark Draper wanting to get involved. Yeah, this is Stevenson going into Stevenson corner. Go on, Jack, carry on.
Yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant racing throughout the entire night. I just got some nice scenic shots in the background, getting ready for the interviews. And yeah, it's just a brilliant night all around. You can see the results up on screen. Gaskin, Brown and Dye, the privateer trio, making up the mid-pack in somewhat of an SRL sandwich, with Draper, Al Brown and Carl Lukeman splitting the 3 privateers. And like you say, John Scrabo sat there for Tanzo Racing in 15th. A good entry to the series because, like you said, the driving standards, they can be incredibly high. And while a lot of the drivers get their elbows out, you still end up with some brilliant racing here and there throughout the night. And I've got to say, Scrabo, he's done a great job here this evening. And I'm sure we have some drivers eager to share their opinions on this evening's action. And let's hope we can bring Fraser Geraghty in. We've got to bring him in. Come on. He won the, I think, what was his first... I think this is his first ever race win in the series. But welcome to the commentary box, Fraser.
All right, Jack. It's my second.
Is it your second? I am sorry. I am sorry. Did you win at Donington last time out, or was it?
It was Charlotte.
Oh, it was Charlotte you won. Okay.
Charlotte, second race.
Congratulations. Another good haul of points. you
Yeah,
ended
it was
off reigning champion Dan Mould for pretty much all of that, so well done.
I know there was a few little love taps going on, but I just don't think Dan had the pace on some sections, and I could just keep the gap.
Well, I've got to say, you made it work. We were watching along very keenly, and we thought at some points he was toying with you, but then we realised that you were both losing time. So at some point you must have been battling the wheels off the thing.
when I was watching the relative, Dan was like 0.2, but then it would drop to 0.6 and then back down. So it was fun. I got to be honest, sweating loads, but hey-o.
Well, I've got to say, it was well worth it. And of course, being a privateer entry, you've got no sort of team assistance. Albeit Dan Mould didn't this race, he does of course have the Ignium Motorsport boys to help each other through the order. Having no teammate, is that some sort of a daunting thought going into a race, thinking, right, I'm on my own here. If I need to get something, I've got to go and get it myself?
I don't know. I just tend to just zone out and just focus on what's in front, not what's behind. I suppose if you had a teammate, you might be able to be a bit of a wingman, but you can't always guarantee they're going to be there.
No, you cannot. And of course, going into the unknown tonight, the first time we've seen rolling starts, very eventful. I think is the best place to put it
I want
into
to
turn
the
one.
standing starts. Don't get me wrong. I think I had a good start, but yeah, I prefer standing starts.
Yeah, I think standing starts is definitely the way to go. You don't carry the same sort of speed in towards turn one, but Nurburgring, it's we were here to round out season one. We are back here for season two at the midway point in the season. I'm assuming it's gone even higher up your list of favourite tracks after tonight's performance. But
gotta be honest,
what did you think?
I was struggling all week on this track. Just could not put a consecutive lap in. Constantly going off track, and tonight it's just gone my way.
It has indeed, and it definitely worked for you. A good haul of championship points, whether it is or isn't something you think about. But of course, it has thrown you up the order quite nicely as well. But before we let you go, you know the script, mate. Anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
I want to say to Dan on that, thanks for the push around the track. It was quite nice for the little bit of close contact racing, and that's about it, to be honest. Thank you for you guys for the commentary. Can't wait to watch it back.
Great stuff. Well, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary box. Once again, a massive well done for your win here this evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Okayama.
No, thank you, New Jacks. Catch you later. Ciao.
That's Fraser Garrity there, great guy, and I've got to say, that was an incredible race from himself. Jack, I'm going to leave this down to you. You bring in who you want and ask them what you want.
All right, well, we'll go in order for today. So we've just spoken to Fraser, our winner. So this time round, we'll bring in Dan Mould, P2 in Heat 2. Dan, how does it feel? I mean, you were on his tail the whole time. Was you, I think the question that I've been waiting to ask, I'm just going to say it. Were you playing with him? Was you toying with him like a killer whale plays with his food? Or did Fraser have that pace advantage on you and got the better of you today?
So I had slightly better pace than him, I'm not going to lie. But in the back of my mind was the incident at Donington where I went round him and cost him maybe 4 or 5 positions. And Fraser, you know, he spent a lot of money and he's well into it, and he buzzes off finish out of the field. So I thought, I'm not going to make no silly moves. If I see one, I'm going to go for it. But like I said, I wanted to try and keep it as safe as possible. So no, I didn't make any rash decisions this time. I just thought, I'm happy with second. I'll stay behind him. But then I wanted to keep Tom off him as well. I was trying to protect him. Obviously, Tom caught us, I think, with 2 laps to go. So I was like, ooh, I don't want Tom to go around me and catch him, because Tom will make a move. I was like, ooh, you know. But no, I just couldn't make a clean move. I just couldn't get that clean move. I mean, but it was good. I enjoyed following him. It was good racing from him and from me.
I did say, I said to Jack actually during the stream, it looked like you was playing the cautious game in terms of making a move, and it's such a difficult track to not to pass on. There's overtaking opportunities out there, but to get it right when you're with someone on similar pace, to get the move done without sort of sending it and trusting that they're going to give you room. Like you said, it's difficult to find that clean pass. But he said you gave him a few love taps up the way. Was you aware of that, or?
I was fully aware of the love taps. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear. I mean, we're on round 5 now. Round 6 is Okayama. You could argue it's a similar circuit. There's a few hairpins out there. It goes up and down a little bit. There's a few similar sections. So can we expect more of the same for round 6? Are you looking to improve on your result, or is
I'm
it going to be absolute carnage?
What? Well, every race is carnage in this league, but it's good carnage. I'm hoping the league's been brought a bit closer now, with what happened to myself in the first race. I'll have a look at it over the weekend, and if it has got closer, I'll be gunning for it. I do enjoy a battle. I was hoping to get up close with Cal, Scott. There was quite a few on pace tonight. But unfortunately, race 1, I think it was Scott actually come together with. I think it was my fault actually. I think I just went down the inside of 2 cars, and it was nothing intentional. It wasn't trying to gain places. It was confusion from the start, and
Yeah, from
it
our
was
point
just
of view, Dan, it just looked like 2 different angles in the braking zone into turn 1.
I'm glad it was me who come worse off, to be fair, because obviously it was my fault. So it's like I say, it's not a serious league. I don't think it's competitive, but I don't think it's serious. But like I said, if it gets closer, I'll go for it. I'm looking forward to it.
One more question, Dan, before I let you go and pass back over to Jack. The start of today was a rolling start, which caught us a bit off guard. Was that sort of decided beforehand, or
No.
was it? No?
I think it was just an admin error. I don't know what Al's done with the session, whether it's just something he's clicked by accident. I'm not sure. You'll look at it for the next round, but no, going forward, it is always going to be a standing
Which ones
start.
do you prefer?
I don't mind any of them. I do like the standing starts in this league. I do think the rolling starts cause a lot of confusion. People, like for example on this track, because the chicane at the end slows people down, people were trying to hold up the start to get everyone packed up. But yeah, I'm not fussed, to be fair. Racing's racing, no matter what it is. It is what it is.
That's right. It's a good attitude to have. Well, we'll leave it there, Dan. Thank you. As usual, just before we let you go, is there anyone you want to say hello or thank you to before we put you back?
You guys, can't wait to watch it back. Thanks to Al for throwing a spanner in the works tonight. And I want to congratulate Fraser on his 2nd win of the season. Thoroughly deserved. Not for his pace, so to speak, but for his enthusiasm and his passion.
Oh, there you go, Dan Mould. Very kind words there about Fraser. Over to you, Jack, for the final interview of the day.
All right, we're going to have to bring him in. He's had ups, downs, and everything in between. Callum Reid-Garton, welcome to the commentary box. Of course, season 1 was very much the same. You had very high moments, a few low moments, and of course, you had you sat out a little bit of the season. But tonight, you've had a very high moment. You won the race by, I think, 17.2 seconds or something like that at the line. And Heat 2, he just didn't really go your way, of course, with the rolling start, catching a few people out. But overall, you picked up some good points, which of course do help your championship hopes, whether it's something you do or don't think about nonetheless. But it seemed like you had a fair few close encounters, is probably the best way to put it tonight.
Bro, I just want to finish a race too. That's all I want to do. I haven't finished one this season, mate. It's getting a joke. But yeah, no, race 2, like I just judged it completely wrong, and I thought I slowed down enough because I was literally just watching it happen. And yeah, I didn't slow down enough, and I literally watched it back on the replay. I just clipped him by a little bit, and I just lost the wheel. Gutted.
Yeah.
But yeah, race 1 was good. I mean, the rolling start was a bit of a myth, but I was trying to back everybody up and make it fair for everyone, because obviously the people were still coming around the final corner. So I just backed everyone up and tried to make it as fair as possible. But yeah, just walk in the park, eh?
Well, I've got to say, it was quite an eventful night and such an unlucky incident. Like, it was the slightest of touches, and it was just enough to break the front suspension of the car. And there you go. That was it. Race over. But tonight, of course, we were at the Nurburgring. It's where we left off in season 1, and tonight we return to the scene of the crime. And with rolling starts, like you say, very, very different, and there was a lot of confusion up at the start. But do you think that led to a few new names working their way up through the order? And what do you think that will mean, not just for your championship, but all of the other drivers involved heading into the latter half of the season?
I don't know really, because you're approaching the corner at like at a different speed as opposed to a standing start. So I feel like people need to be more cautious with their racing etiquette.
Yeah.
And like spatial awareness of other drivers, because like looking back at the replay, race 1 was an absolute disaster. So people need to watch what they're doing essentially and give people room and just be cautious. But other than that, I feel like the racing would be the same. I mean, obviously the top guys are obviously always just gonna chew through the pack and just like, you know, get away. That's standard. But obviously qualifying plays a massive part regardless if it's standing or rolling. So yeah.
Yeah, it was an eye-opening night. We know now the standing starts probably ain't the best way to go for the series, but in 2 weeks' time, at round 6, we go to Okayama. A circuit you love, a circuit you hate. Talk us through what you think.
Yeah, I think I did pretty well at Okayama last season, so I do like Okayama though. It's a good track, so looking forward to that one. Alton Park though, nah, not doing it. You won't see me on grid. Hate it. Can't stand it.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time, and in a month's time, like I say, we won't see you on the grid. But once again, another well done for your win tonight, and in the politest way possible, hard luck for round 2. Of course, that is
better luck next time.
Yeah,
Cheers,
better luck next time, Cal. But before we let you go, anybody who'd like to take a shout out while you're still at the comms box?
Yeah, obviously SRL and Ignium for taking me on as a driver. Thank you to I think Al and Dan and Andy. They've all like set up a really good season league and stuff. So it's really fun to do. It's something to do every Friday. Well, every 2 Friday nights, should I say? But yeah, and obviously thank you for you guys for giving us good commentary as well.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. And yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Okayama.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Callum Reed Garton there, always a great character to get in the commentary box. But it's already that time. We're going to have to start wrapping up the evening, Jack.
It is, and what a race we've seen. I mean, what, 2 weeks between now and the next race?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, thank you for everyone that's watched, of course, and everyone that's commented. We've seen your comments as we go. Bit of chaos in today's race. Let's see if it changes for next time round in Okayama, round 6. It's been a pleasure to be here again.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Jack. And of course, thank you to SM Computer Solutions, Data Shred and Pingin for the sponsorship that they give to SRL and inadvertently make the series happen. And thank you for once again sitting alongside me this evening, Jack. It's been an eventful night nonetheless. Thank you everybody that's watched along and everybody that's involved in the background. And of course, well done to all the drivers. We'll see you all in 2 weeks' time at Okayama. Bye-bye.